Ever pinch pennies all year for that one family vacation only to feel the budget blues afterwards? If so, I was just like you. After 3 vacationless years, I stumbled on credit card rewards travel and cracked the code to amazing vacations that I could actually afford.
Welcome to Wonderland on Points. In this podcast, you will discover how opening credit cards strategically can save you thousands on travel. We're not just dreamers anymore. We're 2 adventurous moms turning dreams into reality. Join us as we spill all the points and miles secrets.
And contrary to popular belief, you don't have to spend $1 million to earn 1,000,000 points. Traveling on credit card points isn't reserved for those with overflowing bank accounts. It's for everyday people like you and me, learning to turn routine expenses into free travel.
Consider us your points travel guides. This is Wonderland on Points. Let the adventure begin. Welcome back to Wonderland on Points. We are so glad that you are here. This is episode number 101. We have crossed the threshold. We are in our second 100, Joe. Can you believe it?
I know. I was kind of wondering if we should call this season 2, because every time I'm like loading this into our launching platform, it's always asking me what season and what episode. And at this point, it's season 1, episode 101. And I'm like, maybe it should be season 2 now. Maybe a season is 100 episodes. Well, it's a long
season. Is this
season.
like college? Like we've finished the 100 level. Now we're like 201, points and miles 201, Wonderland on Points.
I actually kind of like that. I don't know. Maybe we should be.
That's something to think about.
It is.
Well, guys, we are excited today. The last couple weeks, ever since our American Airlines episode with Chris from The Frugal Tourist, that episode was massive. We have gotten such good feedback about that episode. Go back and listen to it if you haven't already. He brought up the CardPointers app, and it was an app that we had heard about, but neither Joe nor myself had really dug into it or used it ourselves. But after that episode, we really started going back. And I think maybe because earlier on in our points and miles journey, maybe we didn't think it was that necessary or that helpful when we only had a couple of cards. And then the further you get into your points and miles journey, I hate keep saying journey. I feel like I'm on The Bachelor. My journey through points and miles. But once you get into this journey a little further down the road and you have a bunch of cards that you need to keep organized in your head and offers and which card to use where, this app changes things. It helps you with that organizational piece. Everybody's talking about how do you stay organized? It seems too complicated to stay organized.
Seriously, you guys, I feel dumb. I think I say this in the episode too, but I feel dumb because I've heard of it. I knew vaguely what it did. I downloaded it. I looked at it a little bit, but, new things are hard for me. So I didn't give this the time and attention that it deserves. And not only was I already pumped when we started this episode, like I was already excited from the things that I've learned digging into it the last couple of weeks, but this episode has made me realize that what I understand and know that this app can do is actually just the tip of the iceberg. It can do so much. It's going to keep growing. And I know that people kind of push back on there being a cost associated with it. But as we talk about, like, the cost is far outweighed by the benefits, just like with an annual fee. And I am so excited and so grateful that this tool exists. And I'm also just pumped that it's being created by a person who is clearly on a mission to help. Like, this does not in any way seem like a money grab or like I'm going to build this thing and charge people and take their money and then they're not going to use it or like it. No, it is like clear that this is a how can I help the people in this hobby do it better? How can I save people money? How can I protect people's information? I mean, he's just so kind, so humble, so wonderful. We loved this conversation with Emmanuel. And
he's like a passion project.
It is. And I think that excites us specifically because this is our passion project. Our podcast is our passion project. And it is so fun to talk to someone who built something where they saw a need, which is what I feel like I very much identify with that. And he created something incredible. It's incredible. I wish I had the skills my skill set is totally different from this. But it's just mind blowing to me that he really saw a need, saw a pain point, and set out to create it all by himself. He coded every line.
Yes.
You'll hear him talk about it. It is
so neat.
Such a good interview. I was so interested the whole time. Just great story.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. Here is our interview with the founder of CardPointers.
Here we go.
Today we have a treat for you guys. We are joined by the founder himself of the CardPointers app. We are going to get into so much good stuff today, and I'm really pumped for it. Emmanuel, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and to tell us a little bit about your background and about this really cool app that you created.
My pleasure. It's an honor to be on here. Thanks for having me.
So first, I want to get into, you created this because you were just a points and miles person. Like, you just were doing this yourself for your own personal travel. So tell us a little bit about, when did you get into points and miles? How long have you been doing it for your own travel and use?
Sure. Yeah. So I actually started collecting points when I was really young. My family is French, so my whole family still lived over there. So we would travel once or twice a year as often as we could. So I was accruing points, but had no idea how to actually use them. So at some point when I was like 19 or 20, I had 100,000 Delta points, I think it was. No idea how to use them. And at some point, I let them expire. It was before they were not expiring. So those all went by the wayside. And I was kind of a non-believer in points. I could never find any deals or anything. It kind of made sense to me. So it wasn't until about 10 years ago or so where I was having dinner with my sister and a few friends. And those two friends were really into points and miles. They were heavy into churning and manufactured spending. So they started going to like that deep side of it. And I was more interested in kind of just the good points redemptions, finding flights for cheap, and business class and first class flights sounded like quite something special, something I wanted to do. So that's how I kind of got started with it way back then.
That's awesome. And you had a very interesting journey, because I dug into your background a little bit preparing for today. And I learned that, okay, you were a points and miles user, but you haven't always been like a tech person. So we're going to talk about how you created this app, but you used to be a race car driver, which I just think is so fascinating, because I have a little boy. He's in middle school now. He's obsessed with racing. He got into it all on his own. My husband and I don't have any kind of background with loving racing ourselves, but he got deep into NASCAR and now Formula One, IndyCar. He just loves it all. So I have to ask you about this, because my son will be very interested to know a little bit about your racing history and how in the world you went from racing to creating an app.
That's awesome. First of all, it's very much like me. I was always into cars since I was young. There was, due to a family connection, that's where that came from. My father was a rally driver in France before they moved to the States. And so I kind of had that in my blood, and we were watching Formula One growing up back before, there was a Netflix special. So this is way, way, way back when there was Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna. So I was always really into cars. And I was really into computers. That's from when I was about 5 or 6. My dad had a home office. And for some reason, I was just kind of drawn to it. And I wanted to just play with the keyboard and figure out what happened. And, back then it was really simple, like terminals and stuff, and simple programming languages. But I was just kind of tinkering around and playing with that stuff. I remember at one point, there was some problem with WordPerfect. If anybody remembers that, this is way back when. But there was some problem that one of his employees was having. And I actually called customer support to diagnose the problem, and went through, a few things over like 20-minute call. At the end, the guy goes, "So how old are you?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm 7." And just with a little prepubescent voice. And I think, that was a shocker, especially back in like, the 80s. So, so it was always kind of in my blood. So it was pretty much a natural fit. I moved to Europe to pursue racing once I finished college. And so my goal was Formula One. So that's what I was going towards. I raced in GT cars, single seaters first. And then I switched to GT cars in Europe, raced there for about 6 years, to the point where, every single cent I earned was going into racing. I was trying to get sponsors as best I could. I didn't have any family connections for that. So it's all finding ways to make money. At one point, I was fixing up cars and restoring those and shipping them to the US and whatever I could to generate revenue to go racing, since that's all I was focused on. And eventually it got to the point where I just had to be realistic. It wasn't going to happen for me. I got as far as I could, but to move up the next level in the ladder, I just needed more money than I could come up with. So at that point, I moved back to the US and kind of went back to my fallback plan, which was software engineering and computers, my other big love in the world.
Wow. What a story. Do you still drive for fun? Do you get out on racetracks just as a hobby?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a number of friends who've got some fun cars. So I'll do like lap days and stuff with them. I was an instructor at one point when I was racing. So I've helped out in that capacity too with some folks. I've got some fun cars myself. So yeah, I like to do that as often as I can. And at some points, I still have this life goal of racing in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So that's something I still want to work towards. So yeah, we'll see at some point in the future if I can make that happen.
Put it on your vision board. Never say never.
Exactly.
This is so crazy though. It just feels like two very different things that you've been into. I guess not though. I guess they're both technical and I feel like they use the same part of your brain, like being able to be into cars and fix cars and then the software and the technology. Let's transition into CardPointers, which, by the way, did you develop it yourself? Did you build the app or did you outsource the technology part of it?
Yep, every single line of code is written by me. When people email support, it's me that it goes to. So support@cardpointers.com is me. I try to reply as quickly as I can to folks. Usually it's surprisingly quick, as you'll see in some of the reviews for the app. But yeah, I've written every single part of it and launched it on all the different platforms. So it's on iPhone, iPad, Mac, Android, Apple Vision Pro, Apple Watch, and Chrome and Safari extensions as well.
That's amazing.
Incredible. I mean, obviously, I truly know very little about this, but it seems very sophisticated to me. So I'm just super impressed that you built this and coded it yourself. That goes way over my head. But I would love to talk about what this can do for like the average points and mile enthusiast. We have a lot of super busy family travelers in here, and things we hear all the time are like, I'm forgetting to add my offers, I'm forgetting to use my credits. So address those pain points. Like, what led you to the creation of this? I'm assuming it was hearing stories like that, the way we do from our listeners a lot, that kind of got you to this point. And was the app always this sophisticated, or did it start doing one or two things and you've just added things as you've seen a need?
Yeah, absolutely. So it started off with kind of the simplest use case, which was what's my best credit card to use for gas stations, for restaurants, those kinds of things. At the time when I launched CardPointers back in 2019, so just past the 6-year mark, there were no apps at all that did that. At one point, a year or two prior, there was another app, but that's been not around for a very long time. So there was just no solution there. So that was like the big pain points that I had that I was solving. And also because my parents and my friends would be texting or calling me to ask me what credit card to use. I was their go-to guy for this stuff. And I was like, okay, there has to be a better way. And so to solve my own problem there, that's when I started working on a very basic version of the app, which was just on the web. And then I did a test launch with Reddit and the credit cards community on there. They were really responsive. Right away, it just kind of started clicking with folks. I had tried some other versions of this in the past, and it didn't really, I just made it too complicated. But when I focused on just that, on which credit card to use to maximize points, that really resonated with folks. And so that was kind of like the core idea. And that's what I launched in the iPhone app later that year, September 2019. And then after that, every year it's evolved tremendously. So a lot of that is due to user feedback, what people want to do. The pandemic had a big impact on that as well. In 2020, people weren't, no one was traveling, right? So that was all locked down. And I was like, okay, well, what other good could my app do? And that's when I started focusing on helping people use the credits that they have on their cards. And also then to auto add their offers, Amex offers and Chase offers. Those were the first offers that I integrated. And now I integrated 4 more banks as well. But my idea was, how can I help people save money and make it through like this hard time? And then later on, they can earn more points and then, and then travel and do everything else. So that's kind of the two parts that I launched CardPointers with in the first year and a half.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and I feel like we get that question all the time. It's easy for the same places that you go regularly. You know which one to use at the grocery store because you're there all the time. You know which one to use at a restaurant because you're there all the time. But then you're like wandering into a Target or a CVS, or you're trying to figure out where to put your cable bill. And that does not have the same kind of automatic, I know what to do with this situation, especially for people who are beginners. I mean, even me all the time, and we've been doing this for a long time now, have questions about which things to put where. And the fact that I can go to the app now and just search whatever I'm looking for has been so helpful to me. I admitted to everybody that I actually downloaded the app last year, and then I felt like I didn't really know what I was doing and how I was using it. And I also can be a little gun shy about paying money for things. So once my free trial was over, I was like, nah, maybe I'll do it. But what I realized is that I just didn't really give it enough of my focus and attention. And I didn't get into the settings and read the instructions for all the things that it could really do. This is my own fault. This app was made for somebody with ADHD. You just have to be able to push through the setup process, which realistically probably takes 15 minutes. Worth it. So we're really going to dig into all of this here. We've read that it can save people over $750 a year, and that's wild. Do you have data points that you collected to come to that conclusion?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I've calculated that, and actually just ran the numbers the other day, and so in total, CardPointers has tracked over 250 million offers across all users, and that's over $2 billion worth of offers. It's kind of crazy numbers. But then I
Wild.
can then track like which offers people have redeemed, and that excludes welcome offers and those kinds of things. That I built a lot of things to help make sure people don't miss those sign up bonuses. So yeah, it's the idea behind every single feature that I put into CardPointers Plus, because there are two tiers, like you said. There's the free tier, which is just a normal CardPointers app if you don't want to pay. But the CardPointers Plus features, that's where it really pays for itself within the first few months, and that's through the auto offers activation, those kinds of things. And ideally, the app should take you hopefully far less than 15 minutes to set up as well. You're just choosing your cards and stuff should be super quick and easy for just the basics. You don't need bank logins or anything like that. I don't use those in any way, in fact. So it should be hopefully easy for folks to at least get started and then try to explore more of the features at your own pace.
I feel like I need to clarify really quick. Yes, it is amazing that this app does not require bank logins at all. What I was doing was adding the extension to the Safari browser on my phone, and then trying to figure out my Chase login on my Safari browser so that I could get it to auto add the Chase offers to my cards. And because I use Face ID to log into my Chase Bank app exclusively and never, ever, ever think about what my user ID or password is, that was the part that took me 15 minutes. That's more of a me problem than an app problem. It's not the app that takes 15 minutes. It's just my brain and my lack of, properly storing passwords and usernames anywhere that I can access them. So I just wanted to clarify so people aren't like 15 minutes. I'm not going to do that. That's me. That might not be you. You might know your login off the top of your head and can log right into Safari after you've added the extension, which takes 2 seconds. And as I did with Amex, it will just add all your offers for you. I had 285 offers added to my Amex cards this morning, and that was a good feeling.
Yeah, it's really fun. I've been playing with it. When you log into your bank account, whether you do it on your computer or on the phone, but when I've been doing on the computer and then it just pops up and you see really quickly CardPointers is adding all the offers, it's a really fun moment to see everything because I have spent so much time every day. I log into all the bank accounts and I click one by one and I add the offers to my card. And some part of me has liked doing that, if I'm real honest. But at the same time, now that I have Amex and Chase and Citi, once you have so many cards, it gets overwhelming. When it was just me doing it like on my Amex Gold, that was my first card when I really got into points and miles. It was fun. And I was just doing the Amex offers. But then as you get through this hobby and you have more and more credit cards, it just becomes a lot to manage. And so the app really does cut down on the time that I'm doing that. If it's not too technical, do explain, because that's just a big question that people have. How does it work that you don't have to put in your login information, but yet when I log into, say, Amex, it's right there and it's like part of it? I just explain that, if you can, in layman's terms to us,
like I'm 5.
how that works.
Sure. So there are some other apps that actually ask for your bank logins. They store them on their servers, and the way they activate offers is they basically pretend to log in as you, and that causes all sorts of problems. A huge security concern, because you're actually storing your bank logins, some of the most sensitive info you could provide someone. You're storing it on their servers, and so that causes users' accounts to get locked. It's obviously a big security and a privacy concern. It's just kind of nasty. You don't know what people are doing then when they're accessing your bank account. So from the beginning, I made sure that CardPointers did not do any of that. My assumption is that pretty much every company will eventually get like their servers compromised. So the way I looked at it is, if I don't store anything sensitive, it'll never be a risk for my users.
Yeah.
So that's how I built everything. Everything is security and privacy focused. And so the way the extension works, the way you auto add offers, is through the web extension. And that only kicks in after you've logged into the bank websites. That way, it never stores your bank logins, doesn't use them in any way. It's just simulating what you were doing from the browser yourself while you're logged in. As soon as you log out, there's no more access to your bank accounts. It's just done directly from your browser to the bank servers.
That's really cool.
My mom, I was telling her about this app, and she was like, nope, I don't mess with anything that connects to your bank account. And I was like, it doesn't though. I don't know how, but it doesn't. So I think that's going to be a huge thing for people to hear, that they probably assume. We had Chris on a few weeks ago, and he was the one that really got us excited about CardPointers. And he was saying, it auto adds to your credit cards. And at that point, I still wasn't quite understanding it. And I think a lot of our listeners were thinking the same thing. Like, I'm going to skip anything that requires me getting even close to compromising my data. So that is such a huge, huge thing that I can do it without that. It makes me really excited. And I think, and I've already said this, obviously, because I mentioned I was doing it on my phone, but a lot of people think that you can only do this on a computer. You can add it to your phone browsers. Is that a recent feature, or do people just don't know that that's an option?
Yeah, so that's something that Apple added to Safari on iPhone and iPad with iOS 15, I think it was. It goes back a few years now. So they made a fairly big splash about it, but if you're not following a lot of Apple stuff, it's easy to miss. So they've added support for extensions on the mobile platforms as well, which has been great, because there's obviously that demand to do it from your mobile device. The last thing you want to do is go to a store and then realize you have an offer, and then how are you going to auto add all your offers and stuff, right? So you don't want to do it the one by one method like you were saying, Marielle. And so this way, you can still use the CardPointers extension to auto add all of your offers. That's the way that works. And then on Android, you can also do it not from Google Chrome. I don't know why Google still hasn't added support for extensions to mobile Chrome, but you can do it from third-party browsers like Edge and Dolphin. They do support the same Chrome extension that you could run in any desktop computer. And the Safari extension also runs on Mac too. It comes with the CardPointers app on those platforms. You just have to turn it on, and then you can auto add your offers and everything else.
That's cool.
That's so helpful. Mary Ellen's a computer person. I am not. I never, ever log into anything on the computer. And especially when we started using Rakuten and all those kinds of things, it was very much like you add it to your computer browser. Once everything started being able to add to a phone browser, that was a game changer. And it's the same with this. I know that I am not alone in our pool of listeners. It has to be able to function from my phone for it to be useful to me. So this is perfect. It's everything I need.
One of the features that I'm really intrigued by, because when I first heard about CardPointers, I thought of it specifically for offers, for all of the credit card offers. And I really kind of thought that's all it did. So it's funny that it actually started before the offers, just with telling you which card to use wherever you were. So the autopilot feature of this, I just think is really cool. For those who haven't dug into it yet, guys, you literally can be driving around town and it will tell you, for stores that you're near, which card to use. You can go in front of a store, like you can park at TJ Maxx and you hold up the phone with the app and it will tell you, like, it's like see TJ Maxx. I don't even know how to describe this, but it's really cool. And it will tell you, oh, this is the card. Use your Capital One Venture X at this store. Tell us more about that feature, because this seems very practical for me, because it's like, okay, this is fast, right? I'm driving. This is where I'm going shopping. Let me hold up my phone. It sees the store. It tells me what card to use. I really am intrigued by this.
Great. Yeah, it's actually one of my very favorite features. I just launched it last year. It wasn't possible until Apple had released, it was a .3 version last year on the platform, where I could kind of put all these pieces together that I've been building for the last few years. And the way it works is it uses your location to look up all of the stores nearby. And again, this is all privacy focused, so it all doesn't locally on your device through an Apple Maps integration. So it finds the stores, and then it knows, because it's got this huge database of 5,000 plus cards, and it knows all the offers that you've synced with it. So it can automatically look up and tell you, oh, hey, I have a, say, $50 off on a $200 purchase at Lowe's, if you have like the member week stuff. So I guess it's expired now, but if you had those, like that would show up right there as you arrive at a Lowe's, right on your home screen. So you don't have to open the app. You don't have to type anything. It just automatically figures all that stuff out using a system called Live Activities. And it just kind of works that magic for you. So it's a feature that I absolutely love. So me personally, I have a system integration with the shortcuts automation. So I have it set so as soon as I leave the radius of like 1 kilometer from my house, it turns on autopilot automatically. So as I stop at each store, I just, I pick up my phone or, I unplug it from CarPlay, whatever. I can just look at the lock screen as I'm putting it in my pocket, and I can see what card I'm supposed to be using for that store to save money or to earn the most points. And then it shuts off automatically when I get home. So it's completely automated. Don't have to open anything. And that's really clutch for people's P2s. I don't know if it's the same for you both, but most people in points and miles, their P2 does not want to play the points and miles game.
Yes.
Okay.
Using your debit card.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the worst. So this has been a lifesaver for P2s because they don't have to do any work. They just look at their lock screen. No mess, no fuss. It just works. So that's helped tremendously.
That's
Autopilot's been great for that.
I literally send my husband an email at the start of each month, and I will be like, especially for the Chase Freedoms, that change categories every 3 months, I'll send an email. Okay, now at Amazon, we're using the Chase Freedom Flex. You should be using this card for this thing. I send a reminder every so often of, do not use this card anymore. Now we're using this card. So that is really fun that I didn't even think about how it could make it easier for player twos.
Yeah, it works really well for that. And you mentioned rotating the 5X categories. That's another thing to your point, Joanna, where you said, you know which card to use for supermarkets and everything else. But when it's a new month, most people don't think about it. I know I forget. That was one of the core uses. So from the beginning, when that new quarter comes around, it automatically updates everything in the app. That includes autopilot, all the details in the app. So I'm in the habit of just always looking at my lock screen if I have autopilot, or checking my phone if I'm making a purchase online, or letting the Safari extension tell me what card to use at a site, because it just does all that stuff for me. So instead of having people having to work to make credit card points and rewards hard, I do all the hard work, and then all the users benefit from it. So it makes much more sense, and it's just the best way to go if you're into points and miles.
It is so good. And the fact that not only does it add the offers, but it reminds you about them and tells you where you can use them is incredible, because it's easy for us to, if we have to, manually and go through and click. But once you've done that, when do you ever think about all the clicks you did ever again? No, I don't. I don't even do the clicks. Only she does. But now I have all of the offers and that autopilot set up so that I am actually able to maximize things. And we always obviously recommend that people don't go spend money they weren't already going to spend. But the beauty is that it's being triggered when you're driving up to the store you were already going to go to, and then you know exactly which card to use because you know where your offer is and where you're going to get the most money back. So it's going to just make it so much easier to not leave money on the table. And especially with these cards with larger annual fees, we really, really want to be maximizing the offers and the credits, which is another thing, you guys. When you open the app, it will tell you, if you click on the bottom, it will tell you I don't remember what you click. Maybe you click offers, but it will tell you you've got your Amex Uber credit for this month. You've got your Dunkin' Donuts credit for this month. You haven't used your DoorDash thing for this month. And then once you use it, you just tap it. You have no clue how helpful that is for me. I know a lot of people put reminders in their calendar. I miss reminders in my calendar all the time. They don't do anything for me. The app really does something for me. Is there a way to get that to show up on your lock screen? Like to tell me I've got my Uber credit?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually got integrations with widgets, and that includes lock screen widgets. So this is why, like, you can get started with just the basics of card pointers, but if you want to like dive deep, there's so many things you can do. Like, there's no way we could cover it all on a podcast. But yeah, absolutely. From your lock screen, if you tap and hold on it, you can add lock screen widgets. And there's one for like expiring offers. You can have like the nearby store can show up right there as well. Lots of integrations that you can do there. You can even, those are interactive as well. So like if you have one of the bigger ones, you can actually see all of your offers and you can tap through them. It'll mark them as redeemed right from there as well. So you don't have to open the app, and make sure you don't miss that stuff. And I also send
incredible.
I'm glad. I also do automated emails too. So on the first of the month or the first of the quarter, I email users to let them know about the new offers and credits that they have. And I also send out notifications to make sure that if you have an offer expiring in 7 days, it'll notify you. Basically, just want to make sure that people, if they're paying for their annual fees, I want to make sure they're getting their money's worth. And so that's why I programmed in all these reminders to make sure to help you save money. At the end of the day, that's absolutely my goal. I want to save people money, and I want them to earn more points. There's nothing I hate more than earning 1x when I could have earned 4x or 5x, or like letting some credits expire that that I should have remembered. So that's what the app solves for me and lots of other folks.
Absolutely.
Guys, I'm about to go deep into widgets. Okay. I need to, what I'm learning is I need to get into widgets. Someone teach us. We're going to learn, and then we're going to teach all of y'all how to do widgets. Okay. That's the word of the day. Yeah. I have another question. There's a feature, a groups feature. Can you explain what that is, why that's helpful?
Sure. So grouping is really nice. So you mentioned before you could individually add offers, and that can work fine. It's slow. It's not fun to do on the Amex website. Once you hit the first 100, you'd have to refresh the page because it wouldn't reload them. Amex kind of pretends that you only have 100 offers.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So you could manually do that work. But one of the really magical things that Chris had mentioned on the podcast, I caught that episode. He talked about the fact that you could add the same offer across multiple Amex cards. And that's one of like the key ways that people save a lot of money with the app. Member Week was great with Amex. Those Lowe's offers to save $50 on $200 plus purchases. People love that one. Tons of those got redeemed and used. And that's because, those are big money savers. And if you have, say 3 or 4 Amex cards, people were adding that same offer across all or most of their Amex cards. And so they're just multiplying their savings. So right there, it would pay for a lifetime membership. If you have like 3 extra ones of an offer that you could otherwise get just once, that's amazing. That's something that you can't otherwise do manually yourself. So that's where the extension really comes in clutch for those folks.
Amazing.
I'm really curious about something. This is we're going off the questions that we've asked Emmanuel. We're just firing some stuff in from like normal everyday people who aren't very techie. I think that's the difference when you've talked about this app probably to a lot of other people. They are people who are really techie, and we're like busy moms who are not as techie. So I'm glad that you're explaining it to us. But I am curious, do you get to see the data on which offers are the most popular, and can you see what people are redeeming the most? I would just be so curious to see that data and see what companies, what stores end up having the most popular offers.
Yeah, so that is stored in the database. It's not something that I expose. I don't share party data rather with third parties at all. So
which is good.
I think people value that for sure.
That.
I have done like share like what the most kind of like what the most favorited offers are and stuff in the past and the most redeemed. So I'm playing around with some ideas to help people basically surface the very best offers. When you add, I think you said 284 offers you added to your Amex account. It's hard then to sift through them and find the really good deals.
Right.
So I'm working through a number of ideas to use that data in a smart way. It wouldn't impact privacy or anything like that. But find a way to then surface those very best offers to let you know, like, oh, this is an offer you might want to pay attention to. And so the way I might do that is, see what other offers you've, redeemed in the past that you've liked, that you favorited, and just surface those just for you and tell you, oh, there's a new offer, at Starbucks. You've used a lot of Starbucks offers before. Make sure you pay attention to this one. This one expires in 10 days or whatever, and try to surface those in a better way. And
I
just realized
love that idea.
Thanks. And I realized I didn't answer your question about grouping offers. So where that comes in handy is that you can then see all of the credit cards that have that same offer. So with that Lowe's example I used, it changes the view of the offers tab from viewing individual offers to viewing each offer and then all the cards it was added to. And so that's really nice. So if you have multiple Amex or Chase cards, it makes much better use of that space. And you can see right away, these are the 4 cards that has that offer. And I can go and maximize those and make those purchases on those 4 cards. So grouping lets you see that really easily.
That's awesome. Guys, even just the aesthetics of this app, like I appreciate a lot more than, for example, the Amex app itself. So as soon as it added all of these offers for me, I was able to now see them in the CardPointers app. And it is so much easier for my brain, the way that they're laid out and the aesthetic of how they look in the CardPointers app, than it even is once they're added into my Amex app. So even if you're not getting super deep and technical and making your widgets and setting up your autopilot, even that to me is helpful to just be able to scroll in one place all of the offers and look at them where I don't know, my brain really likes the colors and the font and that's just so basic, but I was appreciating it a lot when I was looking through it. I was like, this is way better. I'm never using my Amex app ever again. I might have to pay my bill and stuff over there, but
You should do that.
Probably.
Definitely recommend that. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And the other nice thing too, I think it's Amex that has a map view where you can see your offers. But that's obviously only for Amex offers. If you've seen Chase offers, US Bank, Citi, etc., you can also see all those in one spot. There's a map view that I launched with CardPointers 5 and 6. And so you can see right away, an example is, if you fly to a new city, you want to know where you have some deals on a hotel near the airport, you can pull up the map view right next to the airport. It'll show you right there where you have deals, different hotels. So if you have $50 credit at Hilton, there you go. That's probably a Hilton, makes sense, and it costs you almost nothing out of pocket. So it's another way it can pay for itself really quickly.
Perfect.
What do you think? Are there any features that you have found tend to get missed or underutilized that we should point out? Because I want people to get the full potential, and there's so much potential with this app. So what are some of the things that we might overlook that you think we should remember?
Sure. So one feature that I feel like I haven't done a good enough job servicing it to folks because not enough people have to really use it as much as I would have thought. It's been in there pretty early on as offer alerts. And those, I call them smart lists as well in the app because they kind of serve 2 purposes. But a really nice thing about those is that, you're adding hundreds of offers with the extension, but again, it's hard to find those really valuable ones. With offer alerts, you can set an alert so it can match any kind of criteria. So it could be keywords. So if you're looking for any details on coffee, for instance, you're a coffee lover, you can set an offer alert for coffee for offers worth at least $20. And then it'll email you as soon as those new offers are available and put them into a special section of the app. And then you can also filter your offers that way. And you can do that in many, many different ways for specific offers. Again, keywords, value, lots of ways to do that. So that's really useful. The Apple Watch app was really popular in the beginning, but it's kind of been less so lately. And so I think people just aren't really aware of it. But that's really useful as well on the go. And that works with autopilot too. So with the new Watch OS, they've added a new thing where it automatically updates your locks, your Apple Watch face, and it'll show you the same information. So as you go to store, it'll tell you right there on your wrist, so you don't have to look at your phone, which is really awesome. So that's brand new with WatchOS 10, I think it is. Version numbers mix me up these days, but so that's one of my other really favorite features.
That's amazing. We know that CardPointers integrates with CarPlay, which I do know what that is. There's a couple other things that it integrates with that I don't know what they are, like Apple Intelligence and Finance Kit. I have no idea what those things are. So talk to us a little bit about the integration. How does it work with CarPlay? Because I use CarPlay in my work cars all the time. I did not realize this integration existed. Does that mean it like pops stuff up on the screen like it would be popping up on my phone when I'm near a store?
Yes, it works in a different way. But the CarPlay app that was just launched a few months ago. And the way it works is it'll show right up. So if you've got CarPlay on on your car, it'll show up as an app. So you can just tap on it. And what it's going to do is use the same technology that I use for autopilot. So it's going to look at the stores nearby and it's going to show you on the map where you've got deals. So like on a road trip, this is super useful because you get off at an exit. You tap on the CardPointers icon on your CarPlay screen, and right away it shows you, oh, hey, I've got, I can earn, 10x because I have a points multiplier for some offer at like the Shell station off this exit. So then I'll know, okay, well, Shell might be 2 cents more than like, the other station on the other side of the highway, but I'm going to earn 10x points on this purchase. Like, yeah, I'll take the few hundred, extra Chase points. That's awesome. So that's what the CarPlay app does really well. You can also look up your favorites that are synced over from the phone as well. So it's like a nice little resource. But really, it's about finding the best deals around stores when you're driving.
That's amazing. Tell us about the other integrations and maybe what's next, because I assume you have a whole bunch of things on the horizon. You seem like you've just got plans on plans on plans for this app to keep growing, which is very cool and exciting for those of us who are now in it for life.
Glad to hear that. I've got a really, really big to-do list. So I've got a lot of things I want to explore still. Kind of the next thing that I'm going to work on is probably the shopping portals integration. Try to help people stack more offers that way.
I love a stack. We are like queen stackers over here.
Yeah, for sure. So, doing like a triple stack always feels fantastic. So I've got a bunch of ideas I'm exploring around that as well. So working on integrating that into the extension, into the app as well. So any kind of thing I can think of. And oftentimes it is customer-led as well. It's why all my support is handled by me, because I want to be able to know like what people, what they're confused by, because if they're confused by it, it means I'm not doing a good job and I want to fix it. So that'll, make things easier for them, and it means fewer support emails for me. So it's a nice win-win. And then it also helps me find new ideas. So people will talk about like Simply Miles when I got really popular, that had me looking at that and ways I could integrate that. And so there are many, many cases like that, feature improvements for the app and in the extension that come from folks that I'm going to continue to explore and find ways to make it even easier to earn more from your cards.
What's the best feedback you've ever gotten? Because you get all these emails. You get the emails that are like, "Oh, this isn't working," or "How do I do this?" But what's some of the good feedback emails that you've gotten, and the things that made you think, okay, aside from being a business, you're passionate about helping people in points and miles. And so, what's some of the things people have told you that just really made you feel good about this? Really help them. And we always get for the podcast, people who never could afford to go on vacations and now they can take their family someplace they never thought they could take them. I would imagine it's similar with this app because you are really unleashing possibilities for people and earning potential for people. So what's some of that good feedback you've gotten?
Yeah, there's 3 things that I can think of. One is like travel stories, people who just tell me that, they managed to get, more points, and this is one of their great points redemption, and they'll kind of brag about that because we all like to brag about those. It's sometimes it's hard to find like, the really good deals or fly like that one like first class package that you always wanted to fly. So I love when people share those stories. Another one is when people add those offers across multiple Amex cards in particular. Those tend to be kind of the most valuable offers. And people will brag to me all the time about that. But like, oh my gosh, you saved me $500 just on this one day because I had these credit cards. I had a few Amex cards and I was able to load that offer across them. So that's fantastic. That makes me feel really good. And then the third is one that I got just recently. Since you talked about licking autopilot yourself, one person said that it basically saved their marriage because they no longer had to yell at their husband for using the wrong cards. So
that was so funny.
How does that work? If I sign up for CardPointers Lifetime, can I log into that on his phone, or does he need to get it as well? And it's okay if we both have to get it, but I didn't know if it was a family thing or a per person thing.
Yeah, so I do have family sharing enabled. That's an option on in the Apple apps. So the lifetime and annual memberships both have family sharing enabled, and I wanted to extend that for direct memberships as well. So so the way it would work now is like you can set up multiple user profiles. That's something that I launched in CardPointer 6. So you could add your P2, you can actually add kids, you can add grandparents, you can extend it up to
Oh,
6 people.
Cool.
And
wow.
what's really cool about that is that you can you can help keep track of your P2, P3, etc. Not only their cards but also their offers. So you can look that up and see like who has like the best offer if you're eating out at night. I do that often with my girlfriend, where we'll just pull up. I can just do it on my app, so I can pull up all profiles and I can see like her cards and offers, and then whoever's got the best deal, whoever earns the most points, that's whose card we use. So it's kind of like the fairest way to do it.
Love it.
So not always. I still like to treat her, and but it's a nice way when we want to maximize our points. So that's a really good way to do it. And as far as purchasing, so because I wanted to extend that concept from Apple. So if you've linked another user profile, you can just shoot me a message and I can link your purchase to your P2 so you don't have to pay twice. So it's a manual process that I have to do. It's hard otherwise to do it to avoid any kind of like fraudulent use and such. So I do it on a case by case basis for folks. I pretty much always will do it. So just message me at support@cardpointers.com with your 2 account IDs, and I'll make sure that gets linked over, and that way you can save money directly that way too.
That's incredibly generous of you.
So I do have a question about, so when you go to, everybody can go to cardpointers.com/Wonderland on points. That is our special link that you guys have given us. We get 30% off or whatever the best price is. So I said this in an earlier episode. We are always, you guys have assured us that we will always have the lowest price possible. So if it ever goes on sale, our link will also be on sale. But we get 30% off for our listeners, which is really exciting. But there's 2 options. There's an annual option, and that's $50, and it has a 7-day free trial, so you can check it out. But then there's also a lifetime option, and that with the 30% off is $168. But it also includes a free $100 savings card. Tell us what that means. What is the $100 savings card that would come with the lifetime membership?
Sure. The savings card is a nice bonus. I like to use them for vacation activities. It's not a gift card, it's a savings card. So you can basically pay for hotels, vacation activities, those kinds of things through this third party service. And you can use that savings card towards that. So whatever amount you pay on there, there'll be a certain amount that you can use to discount it with that savings card. So for vacation activity, it makes the most sense. I'm booking hotels with points, so I don't really use it for that. But if you want to book like a stand-up paddleboard like tour of like someplace like when you're in Hawaii or something, that's where it's really the most valuable for me, because that's stuff that where else are you going to find a deal on that? Like maybe Viator and some other services, but these prices are competitive. It's a third-party platform, so you can just use a savings card to save like say $30 on a $100 purchase, and so you can use that. So that's where that savings card comes in. So you get the nice big discounts, and then you also get that savings card too to help you save money there.
That's amazing. So really then the lifetime membership, it's $168. You're getting the $100 savings card. So you're really only paying $68 for it versus the annual, which is $50. So to me, the lifetime for sure makes the most sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I said, I like saving people money, so any way that I can. So that includes that. So it's a good way to go. I personally don't love like subscriptions, so I tend to go with lifetime options for apps.
Praise. Me too. Me too. I hate a subscription.
And I know most companies
really
don't even
annoying.
offer a lifetime option. So I'm glad that I can offer that. I made it at a price point where it makes sense. And so hopefully it's just a no-brainer for folks in general.
Yeah, I mean, with the 30% off, it more than makes sense. And in my opinion, the way I think of it is the way that we talk to everybody about annual fees on these cards. Okay, we all know that some of our favorite cards come with high annual fees. You're not paying that one time. You're paying that every single year. And we preach until we are blue in the face about how it is okay. Because first of all, kind of paying to play a little bit. Okay, if you want to get into the points and miles game and be able to earn, let's say 4 times points on dining and groceries, you want the Amex Gold. You're paying to play. But also, if you have card pointers, and you're utilizing your offers and you're utilizing your credits, you are offsetting that annual fee. And that is how I feel about paying for a lifetime membership of this. First of all, you're doing it one time, but then after that, it is helping you save money over and over and over and over and over until eventually it's paid for itself. And then you don't even have to think about that cost anymore. And it's still serving you. And clearly it's going to continue to get more sophisticated and do more things, which is super cool to me to be able to buy in on the front end. Because I would have to imagine, as with all things, the better it gets, the more expensive it's going to be. I don't know. That's a normal business thing to do. We would not hold that against you at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it's gone. So, originally I didn't even have a lifetime tier in the very beginning. And after the first year, I come out with the lifetime tier. And then every year that price does go up. So the earlier you get into that, you're going to keep the futures locked in. So you're going to maximize your savings there. So like at one point, lifetime was just $100. And then, right now the normal price is $240. So, with your discount, you're already saving a bunch of money right there. But, if you wait until, like December or something of this year, most likely I'm going to have to increase the price again. Cost of living stuff, cost of server, everything else, like the things that I have to maintain and the work that goes into it, that increases my costs, and my per user costs go up as well.
Absolutely.
What I've done traditionally, like with the yearly, there are still obviously a lot of yearly members and even monthly members. So far I've never raised the price for those folks. I lock in like the price that they pay is the price they're going to have. So even though those costs go up, because it's recurring, like it kind of, it balances out. But the lifetime I price it out where it makes sense. And the earlier you get it, so then the more you're going to save directly there.
Yeah, because if you're like me, you'll set a subscription for the annual, and 4 years later, you'll still be paying it. And then you'll realize that you could have just gotten the lifetime back in the day, and it would have been a lot smarter of a decision, because subscription forgetting is a real thing that happens for a lot
sure
of us
is.
out there.
Well, thank you for digging into this with us. I want now to, before we go, I just want to talk to you more about points and miles. Where's your next place that points are taking you? We love to ask people this because we love people to have trip ideas. And obviously you're maximizing every bit of your earning potential because you're using the app that you've created. So where are the points taking you next?
Yeah, so actually, I just got back from a trip. I'm based in Miami. I needed a little bit of time off the other week, so we actually just got back from Jamaica earlier this week. And it turns out that's super cheap to get from Miami. It was 4,000 points in JetBlue. We paid for all-inclusive Hyatt. It was 35,000 a night. And I had a bunch of like build points that I had from a while ago, and then my girlfriend also had some Chase points, so we kind of combined those. Had like an easy 1 week all inclusive, totally taken care of vacation in Jamaica for a net cost. It was not much. So I was really happy with that. I didn't even look at that before. I didn't realize it was so cheap and easy to get to from Miami, but that was really nice, perfect weather. I don't have any big trips coming up, so right now I'm still saving up my points. We're working on starting a family, making some kids, so we're doing IVF and all that. So that's kind of controlling our schedules. So it's hard to plan stuff out farther out. But in this case, we had that gap, and we're like, well, let's just take off for a week, all last minute, and it was still that cheap. So it's one of the wonderful thing about points. It enables these kinds of spontaneous trips that you can make great memories.
Absolutely.
I have a random question.
I was just going to say congratulations. That's very exciting.
That is exciting. Okay, this is my random question about, because I just flew through Miami when I came back from St. Kitts. I was flying on American, and we connected in Miami. I also went to the Bahamas in January. One thing that I realized I underappreciated about the Bahamas was we went through U.S. Customs in the Bahamas, like at the airport in Nassau. So when we came to the US and connected, we didn't have to go through any of that stuff. It was super quick and easy for connecting flights. Not so with St. Kitts. We had to wait and go through customs in Miami. It was, my goodness, a pain in the rear, the amount of walking. We're going to cover this when we do our St. Kitts episode. But for Jamaica, do you go through customs in Jamaica, or do you have to? I guess Miami was your final destination, so you didn't have to connect. But I'm just curious, because now that I've been through that Miami airport, I'm realizing that this matters for people's timing for flights.
It was still a long walk, but yeah, it's in the Miami side, so it's in the arrival side. So yeah, and I think the moving walkways weren't working, which is often the case for some reason. But yeah, eventually we made it to there. I've got global entry, and my girlfriend just became a U.S. citizen last year, 2 years ago. So she was able to get global entry finally. So she did the on arrival interview, which I think a lot of folks don't know about, but that's the easiest way to get your global entry interview. If you're within a certain amount of, if you're within the hours that they're open, then you can just do a customs customs officer will just ask you a few immigration questions, and she was in and out in like 3 minutes and had her interview done and global entry approved. So I'm glad that we didn't do it in the Jamaica side because they couldn't have done that. So in this case, it was a good thing that we went through customs in Miami.
I did see that in Miami when I was walking through. I happened to see the little sign saying that you could do your global entry interview. So I do think that's really helpful for people to know. If you have an international trip planned, I love hearing that it only took about 3 to 5 extra minutes with the customs officer to get it officially done. I mean, that really, it seems like such a big thing and something that I've put off even getting global entry because I'm like, ugh, it's a hassle. Is it really worth it? I don't know. But that makes it seem pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's great. And then of course, it's free with so many premium credit cards too. So what I've done, I've used mine up before, and I've had other friends ask me questions about global entry, and I'm like, oh, do you have a credit card that'll cover it? And if they don't, I'll be like, well, I'll just charge it. Like send me like the link and I'll make the payment. No big deal. Cause you can pay for other people's global entry applications with your credit card. There's no harm to that. A, I get points, and then B, they get it for free. So like, why wouldn't you do that? And those refresh every 4 or 5 years, depending on the card. And I've got, a number of premium cards. So that's all covered. So
what a good friend.
Well, I never even thought of that. And hey, to bring it full circle, guys, the CardPointers app will remind you which cards you have with this credit on them, which is super awesome. So I feel like this might be a good place to leave it. Maybe before we let you go, you tell us if you've got your eyes on any fun cards coming up in the future. Anything, any new offers or things, or do you have them all at this point?
I do have most of them. So yeah. I mean, I got all the ones that I want. I always want more American Airlines points. I was listening to that Chris episode, like I mentioned, and he was talking about American Airlines. So it'd be nice. I'm kind of eyeing one of the Barclays Aviator again is available with a 70K. So I've been contemplating that just to replenish some of my American Airlines. I'd moved some build points over to A when they still did that, but could always use more of them. I was down to basically 0 like a year and a half ago because I used a bunch for my girlfriend's sister got married, and I did like their honeymoon. So I booked that all with points, and it was all American Airlines to fly Qatar. So I drained my AA account, and I've been regretting that, especially out of Miami. It's the American Airlines hub. So not having AA points here has been rough. So I want to replenish those and get those back to, a few $100,000 is where I like to keep things for points balances. So, that's kind of the goal there. And then I got when I was back home visiting my parents, my mom just turned 80. She had been targeted for a 200,000 business platinum offer.
Nice.
And they have to buy a generator for the house. And I'm like, oh, well, that's going to be, pretty close to like the spend requirement. Like you should absolutely sign up for this, get the 200,000 points and use the credits for a few things. And it'll make a lot of sense. So they just got that one as well.
They are lucky to have you. What good wisdom you've just provided them. I love it. Yeah, you better jump on that Barclays before it disappears. It's going.
Yeah, absolutely.
My parents just got it because I am also a good child. I was like, come on, guys. Yes, you only have to spend $1. It's like, why wouldn't you?
You got to have someone in the family who's into points and miles. It's like, if someone's a doctor, like that's a huge win. You have someone in points and miles, like, oh, you're going to fly really well. You're going to travel for cheap. It's one of those requirements, I think, for families. Like when we have kids, I'd be like, well, you got to have someone in one of those two spaces at least. So useful.
Absolutely. I love it.
Well, Emmanuel, tell us, where can we find you online? Where can people follow? Do you share any about your travels or really just about CardPointers?
Yeah, so when I travel, I'll often post to my stories on the CardPointers Instagram account. There's also a Reddit community, so that's /r/CardPointers. I've also got a Facebook group, but that's really just about the app. So kind of a mixture there. I've got my personal accounts, but I'm not too often on social media, so you won't find too much on there, but /mcrow pretty much everywhere as well. kind of, I got all those ones lined up across all the different platforms. So either /mcrow/CardPointers on whatever service you use. I should have an account with at least some basic information. And of course, there's the website, and from the app stores, it's all CardPointers and CardPointers.com.
Yes, and we will put all of the links in the show notes. Before you go, is there a travel content creator that you're a big fan of that you think our audience would benefit from?
Someone who I think is kind of underrated because not enough folks know about him is Daniel Braun on YouTube. He puts out a lot of really good content. Max Miles Points, I know he's been mentioned a few times before on your podcast, but he's a good friend. We go back many years. Even before, I think it was before I even launched CardPointers, I was just naturally like in the points and mile space. So we were like on a webinar with Julia from GeoBreeze Travel and a few other folks. I think Points Rob was on there as well, and a few other people that you've had on the podcast in the past. We were just on a webinar with like 20, 30 people talking about ideas, earning more points and everything. And everyone was just kind of starting out. So that's been a really, it's been great to see how much growth he's had. And he's always puts out really good content. And he's got great design sense and everything too. So it's aesthetically pleasing to look at his Instagram. And he puts out great content too. So he's a good teacher. So those are two of my favorites.
Text your boy Max and tell him that we want him on the show.
Tell him to come on the show.
All right, you got it. We'll do.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, we will link up both of them. I have not heard of the YouTuber, so I'm sure I'm about to go down a little bit of a YouTube rabbit hole. I love a new person. Love learning from new people. It's so fun for me. Thank you for giving us your time today. This was incredibly helpful, and I believe that our audience is all going to be clamoring to download this app now, because I think once people just have a really clear understanding of how it can help them, it's like, why would you not?
I'm really glad to hear that. And like I said earlier, people can go at their own pace, right? So start off with the basics. So if you're looking to just know, which card to use, the really simple question, just put your cards in, it'll answer that really quickly. Dive into auto adding your offers as kind of like a next step. And then kind of like the next phase is, when you have some time, just dig into like widgets, like you mentioned, learn about those. And these things will apply to a lot of other apps. So like apps that are well built for each platform, they're going to integrate some of these more advanced features. So if you learn it for CardPointers, you'll learn it for some other app, then you can pick it up for others. And so it multiplies your learnings as well. So it's never a bad idea, especially with computers, just kind of tinker around, try things out, and just kind of discover things. And there'll be lots of hidden features and things that will help most people.
I love that. And we didn't even mention this, but guys, it tracks your 524 status too, which is like kind of, you would think that's basic, but I still know people who just do that on a spreadsheet. Let the app do it for you. That will take a lot of stress off your plate when you're trying to decide what to apply for next. So it does all the things. You really don't need anything else.
Thanks. And it's weird, like how complicated they made 524 too. Like, it's never been published officially by Chase, which is crazy. And so like we just kind of reverse engineered how it works. Exactly. And you can manage that for user profiles as well. So if you have like a P2 or you've got kids with credit cards, you can see their 524 too and help remind them when they can apply for credit cards, or if you're applying for them, which I did like for my parents, for instance, it helps me keep track of that on their behalf too. So that's really useful.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you.
Thanks so much for having me. Really, it was a really great pleasure. And it was great talking with you both.
If you enjoyed this show today, please consider writing us a review or clicking 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please subscribe and follow along so that you never miss an episode.
You can follow the podcast on Instagram or YouTube at Wonderland on Points Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Family Travel for the Win with the number 4.
And you can find me on Instagram at Points to Wonderland.
If you're thinking about getting a new travel rewards credit card, consider using the links in our show notes. Using our links helps to support us and keep our podcast going, so we can provide you with all the latest tips and tricks when it comes to traveling on points.
And if you aren't sure which card is right for you, shoot us an email at wonderlandonpoints@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you here next time.